Breaking news, the United States has revoked all visas held by South Sudanese passport holders. It has also canceled all visa appointments, blocked any new visas from being issued, and prohibited anyone from South Sudan from entering the United States. Why? Well, South Sudan's transitional government refused to accept the return of its repatriated citizens in a timely manner, and U.S. efforts to engage diplomatically were rebuffed. Let this serve as a warning to any other country thinking about not accepting the return of its citizens when the U.S. needs to deport them.
Sanctuary city does not mean that the city or the state is going to protect you from ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or from being detained with immigration or deported. Sanctuary city means that if a foreign national has an encounter with law enforcement, like police or the sheriff, that law enforcement official is not going to contact ICE to come and detain or pick up that person. They are also not going to detain that person for the 48-hour requirement before ICE comes and gets them. So basically, they're not going to cooperate with immigration in facilitating the detention or the transfer of a foreign national to immigration custody. Living in a sanctuary city or sanctuary state does not mean that a person cannot get picked up by immigration or they can't get detained or processed. That is not what it means. It only means that the local law enforcement won't cooperate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Hello. Hello, my friends, my immigrant friends, and my friends of immigrants. I hope you're all doing well. I'm resting up today, just kind of tired. But I wanted to touch base with you before I forget. If you haven't made your calls, I want to suggest something that I figured out as I was studying the two bills that are under immigration. They kind of go together. One of them is about taking money away from sanctuary cities, and the other one is about adding more money for mass deportation. And as I read about it, I began to say that's what they're going to do, because they do not, Trump and the border czar do not like sanctuary cities at all. So they're going to take money away from them for things they've been funding for them and give it to the mass deportation. And folks, I think it's almost like it was with the children when they lost their attorney. Everybody made calls. I hope you'll do this. I made another call or two calls today, and I think it's important. It really is. I know some of the immigrants are hesitant about giving any information in the forms they have to fill out and all, and I support that. I know there's a good reason behind that, but that puts pressure on the rest of us. We have to all step up and make our calls because some of our group can't do that. I really do understand about putting your address and name out there when you're being hunted down. And my compassion goes out to you. It really does. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're resting and finding some joy in your life. Life is good. Let's keep it that way. Okay? Take care.
Why in the world would they need to bus people in from Chicago for a protest in Des Moines, Iowa? 707,000 people in Iowa voted for Kamala Harris. And 140,000 of them live in Polk County, which, if you don't know, is where Des Moines is. With numbers like those, which took all of 35 seconds to look up, why in the world would they need to bus people in? What is this weird fantasy that Iowa is red, red, red? Iowa is very firmly purple. A lot of those red dots you see all over the state are empty. No one lives there. And not even just Iowa. America is purple. The idea that there was this crazy landslide is so absolutely bonkers. According to the final numbers, Trump got 49.8% of the vote and Kamala Harris got 48.3% of the vote. That is firmly purple. Bust in from Chicago. You are out of your mind.
Now listen to this. Priests, nuns, faith leaders protest ICE actions outside of Chicago Fieldhouse. These people of the Lord was tired of them trying to justify ungodly things, so they said something. They said to participate in this system, to carry out Trump's administration orders, to do what they're doing, ICE, Department of Homeland Security agents must consciously and unconsciously choose to demonize our communities, our families, and our loved ones, and to see them as illegals and criminals. Larry Dowling went on to say, to do so reduces the human dignity and divinity of our communities and our sisters and brothers. Local leaders are standing up against the Trump administration's attack on sanctuary cities, and they need our help. Here's the part that really grinds my gears, though. Trump's allies in Congress are now trying to pass a bill called HB 32. If this bill passes, they will be able to strip funding away from any city that does not comply with carrying out Trump's mass deportations. To the people in the back, this will hurt everybody in our communities, taking away funding from roads to bridges to healthcare to Medicaid, all that. Use the address in my profile to tell your local rep to say no on HB 32. Education is elevation.
Blame Pritzker, Governor Pritzker, not Donald Trump. Illinois is missing hundreds of millions of dollars of funding, and it's not because of Donald Trump. It is strictly because of Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon. When Donald Trump took office, he told people, he made it very clear, and he issued an executive order saying there is no such thing as a sanctuary city. It is not okay, according to the federal government, for you to decide to be a sanctuary city. And if you will continue to be that and decide to continue to harbor illegal migrants, you will not be able to access federal funding. You will not be able to receive federal grants and things that you're looking for. You know what Pritzker did? He said, forget it. My citizens know how to hunker down. And we're going to continue to be a sanctuary city, even if it breaks us. And you know what it's doing? It's breaking Illinois. It's actually breaking Illinois and Chicago. So because of Chicago's welcoming city ordinance, that's what it's called, Chicago's welcoming city ordinance, is designed to ensure that all Chicago residents, all Chicago residents, regardless of their citizenship or immigration status, can obtain city services, including police protection and medical care. Have you as a parent ever got to go into a doctor without paying? No. You know why? Because as a citizen, you're required to actually pay for your services. But people who are not actually citizens are allowed to go and utilize the police services, medical care, and other city services without being an actual legal citizen. And Chicago cares so much about making sure that this is a reality that they're willing to sacrifice the funding you need for the actual departments that are really important to you. They're actually willing to sacrifice the funding for the same city services that they're saying they want to grant to illegal migrants. You see how loopy the mindset is of a socialist and people who have like little dreams in their heads about how money works? How can you provide police support and city service support to migrants when you're literally losing the funding that you need for those services because of the migrants? I just can't begin to understand how this makes sense in Governor Pritzker or Mayor Brandon's mind. I'm very, very confused. And I think that they are too. But I do want the people of Chicago to know, those that do have a mind that actually thinks, and I'm assuming most of you are Republicans. For you all, I want you to know that your news is lying to you. It's lying to you, and it's telling you that Trump just cut your funding because he doesn't care. But that's not the case. It's literally because Governor Pritzker dug his feet in and decided to not care about you more than he cared about migrants.
Hi, I want to tell you about today's election results. A lot of you on the back 40 worked on this. Remember the sanctuary cities of the unborn that came into Rolla? Well, tonight we have our city council results. Josh Vroman, the person who brought sanctuary cities in, lost. August Roloffs will be the new council person. Megan Johnson, who was part of it, she lost. Andrew Barrett will be the city council person. And in my district, which is Ward 4, Dr. Kessinger, who voted with sanctuary cities and voted to remove fluoride from the water was replaced by Tom McNevin. Now, Dr. Kessinger did not run for re-election. In other good news, on the Rolla School Board, unfortunately, Larry Marty did win, and Jim Packard. Jessica Barrett was an incumbent, and she did lose. She came in third. But in last place was Matt Fridley, the educator who punished a 6-year-old autistic child. He did come in last place. I want to thank everybody for helping me, being there for me, and most of all, the Back 40 family. Thank you.
Latinos for Trump, where the f y'all at? The IRS is now giving the Department of Homeland Security the access to the personal information and the addresses for all undocumented immigrants. A lot of people are scratching their head right now talking about how the IRS even has the information for undocumented immigrants if undocumented immigrants don't pay taxes. Wrong. Undocumented immigrants don't have social security numbers, but they do have ITIN, which is individual taxpayer identification numbers. I bet y'all didn't know that undocumented immigrants contribute to our economy and pay more in taxes than many major corporations. In 2022, America's 10.9 million undocumented immigrants paid about $100 billion in taxes. Just for context, even though they paid $100 billion in taxes, they are not eligible for the same tax benefits as U.S. citizens. Undocumented immigrants are not eligible for Social Security retirement benefits, health insurance through Medicare, or the federal earned income tax credit, which helps families with low incomes get a tax break. But because they don't have a Social Security number, they're not even eligible for that. For the people looking around talking about, well, I'm not going to be impacted because I'm documented. This impacts everybody because disclosing the immigrant tax records to DHS for immigration enforcement will discourage tax compliance among immigrant communities, because why will they pay their taxes and file their taxes if now their personal information is going to be given to the DHS against them? It's going to weaken contributions to essential public programs like food stamps and increase burdens for U.S. citizens and non-immigrant taxpayers, because if the government is losing $100 billion in tax revenue from undocumented immigrants, where do you think they're going to make up that money? By taxing your ass. It's gotten so bad with all these deportations that Florida lawmakers are now pushing legislation to weaken child labor laws to fill the jobs vacated by undocumented immigrants. Get ready for the raids because they're coming. Get ready for that $100 billion to be squeezed out of your ass because the undocumented immigrants are not going to be paying that. Get ready for prices to keep going up because those jobs are not being filled. The supply chains are being up and inflation will go up.
Did I hear this straight? They are now deporting American citizens. Let that sink in for a minute. If you still think your passport will protect you, it won't. If you're still assuming you will always be safe here, you need a backup plan. And I'm not talking fear. I'm talking about strategy, sovereignty, and exit options. You know what? Whether you're black, brown, queer, disabled, poor, or just not willing to fall in line, you've already felt this shift. This country is changing, and not for the better. The smartest thing I could have ever did, which I just started, exploring where else that I can live, work, and build just in case. You know what? I put together this global move starter kit and other tools just for those who want to have options, not empty promises. This is not about running. It's about making a plan and exiting strategically. Look, links are in my link tree.
The IRS is now going to share immigrants' information with ICE. And isn't that proving that immigrants are paying taxes? They shouldn't be. I wouldn't. If I were them, I would stop immediately. What do you mean? All of this shit. It's acting like these people are not contributing anything to the goddamn country, but yet here they are paying taxes, and they don't even get all of the benefits of the taxes, yet they still do them. And then the IRS is going to give ICE all of their information to help facilitate the deportations. What the actual evil? What the evil, nasty, disgusting, crazy, scary? Y'all just be doing anything thing. Who is agreeing to doing these things? Is this not diabolical behavior? I know it's been diabolical, but like, come on, the IRS is giving information to ICE. What? What type of link up is that? What type of... That makes absolutely no sense at all to me in any way. And that's just proving that immigrants are paying taxes. Like, what is the... Oh, no.
Latinos are not the only immigrants that are deported from the United States. We've seen people from Estonia, Bulgaria, Romania, Pakistan, United Kingdom, Canada, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, Morocco, Tunisia, and people from around the world who have been deported from the United States, either for lack of proper immigration documentation, or they've committed a crime when they had the proper immigration paperwork, or they didn't have any other type of process to allow them to legally stay in the United States. While Latinos do make up the majority of immigrants in the United States, they are not the only group of people that are being deported from the United States.